Have you ever wondered what it takes to become a summoner? Learning how to command your trustworthy pets, use multiple skills strategically, manage cooldowns, prioritize stats that will benefit not only you, but your companions as well. Play a role of a buffing and debuffing caster who will rely on his minions to do the talking. If the answer to at least a couple of those points is yes, then you are at the right place, my friend, because I'm ready to bring you my second build overview. This time around, it's for one of the most beginner-friendly summoner build. That, should you choose to accept it, we're going to teach you some of the most basic yet vital aspects of this game. Conjurer with Bloody Pets utilizes bleed plus physical damage as the main type. Amazing and very easy to land debuffs, strong buffs, a little bit complex but fun and addictive gameplay. Tons of crits, attack speed, and probably the beefiest pets in the entire game. This class can access ultimate difficulty with even crappy self-found gear and faction items that you can get by the end of normal difficulty. If that already sounds intriguing and you want to know more, then let us begin today's show. Starting up with our good old skill tree rundown. We are a summoner. And what does that mean? We are going to be using pets, of course. Some of them will be used for support, such as Familiar, that provides us with an aura that gives elemental resistances, Hellhound, that generates aggro and acts as a cannon fodder. Others for pure offense and acting as a meat shield, such as Briarthorn. And of course, Conjure Primal Spirit. To make sure that your pets live longer, attack faster, and with much more power, we support them with a bunch of other tools like McDragon's Pact and its modificators, Blood of Drake with Aspect of the Guardian, Bounce of Beastmeal, and Manipulation. Do keep in mind that almost all of your active buffs and auras in this build are going to have an effect not only on you, but on your pets as well. As a summoner, you do not have to do any kind of damage in fights. Your pets are going to play that role instead. However, do not think that you can just sit in the backline and do nothing at all. Your role is to debuff your foes and make sure that temporary buffs are up in every single battle. Here are the main debuffs that are going to be used in this build. Curse of Frailty and Vulnerability, and Devouring Swarm, of course. Those skills will drastically cut down enemy resistances and movement speed. Our less impactful but still needed skills in here are Vendigo Totem with Blood Pact for extra vitality damage, as well as some damage that will be converted into Hildreth's Evil Eye, only to proc one of our devotions. Now that we are done with skills, let's jump into devotions. We put 1 point into the Crossroads for 5% health, as well as for the red affinity. Our secondary devotions in this tree are Hawk, Raven, Scholar's Light, Lion. Now let's look at our main devotions. Survivability is provided by Typhus, the Jailer of Souls, and Wolverine. Resist reduction type 1 and type 2 are provided by Assassin's Blade, Huntress, McDragon with his Howl of McDragon. Profile damage boost acquired from Shepherd's Crook, Night Talon, Huntress, McDragon. Devotions that are going to fix your AoE problem that this build will struggle with in the mid and a little bit into the late game. Huntress with Rant ability, as well as Oleron with its Blind Fury. Before we begin diving into specific items, allow me to explain you what sort of stat bonuses to pets you need to look for when building this kind of Conjurer. List goes like this, starting with health, attack speed, total speed, resistances, crit damage, profile damage, and/or total damage. Remember those stats and let them serve you as a guidance that will allow you to have a better understanding about what sort of stats you have to look out for if you want to boost your pet's capabilities. Now let's look at our items that we are currently wearing. Core items of this build are full beast color set, such as helmet with Eldritch Mirror and Mankind's Vigil. Moving on to the shoulders with Sacred Plating and Mankind's Vigil. Chest with Eldritch Mirror and Mankind's Vigil. Medal with Ether Soul and Rune of Displacement. This rune gives us much needed mobility in form of a teleport towards where your cursor is. This set is a massive stat boost not only for your main character, but to your pets as well. It grants pluses to skills that are used in this build, gives your Hellhound and Briarthorn a chance to generate additional threat, which will allow them to provoke more enemies and defend you even better. A rare offhand, Bound Rate, that gives bonuses to our Conjure Primal Spirit is also, in my opinion, a must-have. It is easy to farm and insanely powerful for us. In my case, it is a Subjugator's Bound Rate of Salios Melis with Seal of Might and Ravager's Eye. I was lucky with bonuses to patrols, however, you should always keep in mind that the core stats, such as +2 to Primal Spirit skill, -6 second skill recharge to Primal Spirit, and +30% attack speed to Primal Spirit, are a fixed number and they will never change. Those 5 items are a must, especially if you want to get the maximum amount of power from this build. Combining them with a bit of cooldown reduction will result in almost 100% uptime of your strongest summon that you are going to be using. Oh, and if that wasn't enough, 4 set completion bonus will allow you to summon additional Briarthorn. Isn't that amazing? In our main hand, we use Mythical Veil Piercer with Seal of Might and Ravager's Eye. A bit of flat resistance reduction to our Hellhound, and as a source of ether resistance, attack speed, and all damage to our pets. Mythical Chassis of Barbaros with Ugdenbog Leather and Mankind's Vigil. Well-rounded defense-boosting item that also has a damage and total speed buff that has a 25% chance to be used on hit. Mythical Overlord's Iron Grip with Spellscorch Plating and Mankind's Vigil. One can never have enough defense and resistances. This item also boosts your pet's crit damage and offensive ability. Pretty strong in my opinion. Mythical Fiend Flash Greaves with Mark of the Traveler and Mankind's Vigil. 10,000 damage absorption shield that has a 50% chance to be procced on hit, and it only has 20-second cooldown, and it also boosts your pet's offense, speed, and stun resistances. What more can you wish for? Mythical Nosferatis with Ugdenbog Leather and Mankind's Vigil. Gives you and your minions a ton of resistances and good amount of pluses to skills that are used in our build. Mythical Sovereign Ruby of Domination with Black Tallow and McDragon's Blessing. Initially in this build, the altar used Conduit of Wild Whispers, but to be completely honest with you, I just don't like the overall stats that this Conduit gives. Ruby of Domination has way too many bonuses to pets, including massive buff skill called Sovereign, that can be used separately or in conjunction with Call of the Beast skill against bosses, tough encounters, elites, etc. Beastmeal's Chilling Seal with Runebound Topaz and McDragon's Blessing as a way to boost your own resistances and your minions' health and attack power. Mythical Spiritbinder Glyph with Runebound Topaz and McDragon's Blessing. This ring is kinda useless. The only useful things here are stun duration reduction, +2 to Primal Spirit and McDragon's Pact, and 10% crit damage to pets. I use this one mostly because I could not get the one that I should be using in this build, such as Mythical Crimsonbriar Band. In case you have Mythical Crimsonbriar Band, you replace this ring with that ring. We use McDragon's Ardor Relic for +1 to all skills, and massive double boost to our pets provided by this item itself and the aura that we need to toggle on. And now it's time to talk a little bit more about our stat points. In the endgame, your stat points should be distributed like this. Put 81 points into physique, no points into cunning, 26 points into spirit. While leveling, keep in mind the endgame stat picture, but don't be afraid of putting some points into other stats, depending on what kind of gear you want to wear at that particular moment. Remember that Grim Dawn has potions that will allow you to reset stat points. If you want to take a look at a more detailed picture of this build, I will put Grim Tools link in the video description. General gameplay and tips. Conjurer is a relatively tanky class with lots of health. Use that knowledge to your advantage. Even though you're tanky and you have your pets who can aggro enemies, keep in mind the following. Number 1. Not all enemies can be provoked. Number 2. The aggro system in this game is very poorly designed, and it can get you into troubles quite fast. Number 3. AoE skills and skills that can pierce through your pets still exist. Some of them will even apply resistance reduction or damage over time effects. Number 4. This build does not have any kind of damage mitigation skills. In case something bad happens, your only chances to survive are Rune of Displacement, Health Potion, Ether Crystal, Blood of Drake. Movement is life. Don't just stand there doing nothing, allowing your enemies to hit you easier. Always try to run around, even if no one is attacking you. Get used to the piano playstyle. This build has many buttons to press, and a lot of skills have to be timed. Develop a sequence of skills that you are going to be utilizing in most of your battles, and as you level up and progress, keep doing them over and over again with a close attention to timing of your buffs and debuffs. Trust me, you will be surprised how easy it is to play this class once you get accustomed to skills pattern. My typical skill rotation for average encounter is Healing Totem, Curse of Frailty, Devouring Swarm, Drake's Evil Eye. Outside of that, I always make sure to keep my Blood of Drake and Primal Spirit up all the time. For bosses and tough battles, I use the same pattern with the addition of 2 long cooldown buffs, such as Sovereign plus Call of the Beast, in order to get a massive boost to my pet's offensive as well as defensive capabilities. All of your skills are extremely easy to use, and it's pretty much impossible not to hit debuffs on enemies. They also last for quite a long time, and you almost never run out of energy, aka mana in this game, which is extremely useful. Pet attack command is not there just for show. Utilize it. Use it to order your pets to attack a specific enemy. Use it to move your pets away from danger zone. Use it to reposition them. The main point here is that you want to use it properly. Sure, sometimes your pets will ignore your commands, but that does not mean that you should ignore this option and put your minions on autopilot. Keep a close eye on your positioning, your HP, buffs, cooldowns, as well as state of your pets. Remember that neither you nor your pets are immortal. It is wise to know when to step back in order to reposition yourself, re-summon your fallen comrades, as well as heal those who are in need of healing. One last thing, you can kite with this class quite efficiently. You can do this everywhere, except in Shattered Realm boss rooms. Now that we have covered all of those aspects, I think it's about time to show you what this build is really capable of doing. Bring out the showcase! this is it, ladies and gentlemen. We've reached the end of today's build overview, and hopefully I was able to explain and present you what this class combination is capable of doing. To me, playing a summoner class in Grim Dawn was a very unique and interesting thing, especially considering the fact that I usually don't play such classes in other action RPG. However, as you have seen, this Conjurer build is not only strong, but also teaches a whole lot about the core game mechanics. Yes, this class is not perfect. Here's the list of downsides. Number 1. Lack of damage mitigation skills, lifesteal, or other defensive tools are dragging him back quite a bit, especially in high Shattered Realm levels. Number 2. Familiar and Hellhound are practically a joke when it comes to their effectiveness in combat. Number 3. Summoners have a very hard time finding proper gear to equip while leveling. Most of the amazing items for summoners can be acquired only in late game, and they are world drops, which means you cannot target farm them. Number 4. Not the fastest class for leveling, and at one point will struggle due to not having any kind of meaningful AoE damage source until you get to Huntress and All-Around Devotions. However, Conjurer with Bloody Bats is still going to remain as a very special and potent class combination in this game, and I will still recommend people to play him. Using this knowledge, you will feel more comfortable playing this or other summoner classes that exist in this game, and you will have a better understanding on how to gear up a summoner, how to use your pets in battle, and many other things. Thanks everyone for watching. If you enjoyed this episode of Grim Dawn Build Overview, give it a like, share with your friends, as well as subscribe to our MightyBrosky YouTube channel. Additionally, you can also follow us on social media, visit our Twitch channel where we stream various different games. If you'd like, you can support us on Patreon and receive various different bonuses. All the links are in the description. Enjoy the games that you're playing. And see you all next time!